We got it. It says got it. Cool.
Hello. Hello.
We are live on Facebook.
We are live here. Welcome to today's book talk. It's a wonderful day. And today with me in the studio, I have two ladies. We have LouAnne and we have Jasmine Tioman. And it's a special kind of episode today. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine and I'm excited. And it's a great thing that we are having here today, a talk about the book of gratitude that we are going to discuss much more. But before we go into that, we'd love to know who this in the studio. I'm your host, Anthony Muirore of Book Talk at Book Place. And who is LouAnne?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you were able to make it today. My name is LouAnne Hunt, and I'm actually a TV host for a TV show called The Mindset Playground that you can find on Bold Brave TV and also in my YouTube channel, which is LouAnne Hunt, of course. I am from Ontario, Canada. Sorry. I am from Ontario, Canada. And I actually worked at my government job for 36 and a half years. And then I retired in May 2017. And I became a college professor. And I have been teaching college. I've been teaching business to college students for, well, actually longer than when I retired because I was doing it while I was working full time. But when I retired, I said that I wanted to keep working, I guess, and keep going. And so I continued to teach at the college level. So I'm teaching business and marketing to college students, and it's really been wonderful. And I'll tell the rest of my story in a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. This is wonderful and interesting. I'm interested to know about business more and about marketing also. So I'm good here with you. So you're going to tell us a few tricks here and there.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And can we know who is Jasmine here?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Hey, y'all. No, I'm just kidding. But my name is Jasmine Tillman. I go by aka JR Tillman. I'm actually a number one best-selling author and an international and global speaker. And a life purpose coach. So I'm excited. I'm actually working to launch my enterprise soon, featuring all my services. And I'm from Toledo, Ohio, but now I'm recently stationed in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. And today we are discussing a book that we would like to see a glimpse from LouAnne. Can we see the book? Yeah, that's the book that we are discussing. That's the book that we are discussing, Gratitude, the book of gratitude. And she's going to tell us more about that. Now, this is a book that they've co-authored with other 30 women. So that story is going to come from her. And it's interesting because here, me and Jasmine and other authors are in the process of putting together a book. So we are here to learn, and we are also here to hear more about gratitude and also share on the topic of gratitude. And everyone out there, if you're listening to us, we would appreciate if you give us some feedback, and let's get into this topic today. Now, LouAnne, tell us a bit more about this book. How did it come to be?
Well, this actually is the third book in the Life Inspired series. And the person who put the Life Inspired series together is Jan Fraser. And Jan Fraser she has produced her own book. She has published her own books, about 9 of them. And she has also done some collaborative work, and she has actually helped more than 400 authors become #1 bestsellers through her collaborations. So what happened was, as I explained in my intro, I am a professor, a college professor here in Ontario, Canada. And actually, I don't live far from where you grew up, Jasmine. I am actually from Ontario, which is right across the border from Detroit, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I'm very close to you. And so what happened was I was teaching at the college. I was teaching business, and I actually started on my own personal journey for personal development. And I had heard of Jack Canfield. Do you guys know who Jack Canfield is?
Oh no, I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
He is the creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. Yes. And he was also in the movie The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that he was coming to Chicago. This was in 2019. And it was my birthday. So we got tickets for the show or for the, seminar. So
Mm-hmm.
we drove to Chicago. It was like 6-hour drive, but we drove to Chicago, and we were actually and I got VIP tickets so that I could meet him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were in the audience, and Jack did his thing that he's famous for. And I was blown away. I was so blown away. His message was so amazing. And we did all these exercises, and it was just such a great day. There were over 600 people there. And I was so inspired by Jack that I said, I have to bring this information to my students, because personal development is so important when we're talking about running and starting our own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really taught. Do you remember, Jasmine, going to school and learning about personal development?
No, I do not.
Exactly. So, and even myself, if I wouldn't have been on my own personal journey, I would have never, thought about it. So after that, Jack was talking about that he offered an opportunity to become certified Jack Canfield, and be part of his team, and that we could spread his message. So I signed up right away. But like everything else, life gets in the way, and it sat on my shelf, my bookshelf. And then I had foot surgery that December. And of course, healing from the foot surgery, I couldn't teach at the college. So I took that opportunity to dive into Jack's message again, because I just remember how good I felt after being involved in his message. So I dove into it, and I started taking a few more online courses, and I became certified. So I am officially a certified Jack Canfield trainer.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. So it was great. It was so great. I loved taking the courses. I felt so much better. But what was really cool was that when I did go back to teaching at the college, I could incorporate his message into my classes.
Yeah.
And I just found that the students were like soaking it up like a sponge, because they were so interested in what I had to say. And they just found that it was helping them. It was helping them with their studies. And of course, we were in the middle of a pandemic, so a lot of them were online, and that was difficult for them to try and, shift that mindset. But we all know that it's all part of the mindset, right? You have to have a good mindset for anything that you do, right, Anthony? Like achieving your dream.
Sure.
That book, Be Good for Good, that book. You have to be in the right mindset. And so I just found that it was really important to get my message out there. Well, I got to tell you, what happened in my life since I was involved with Jack Canfield is I met Jan Fraser, who is very close with Jack Canfield. And she's an author, and she actually approached me. And she said, you know, I'm working on this project called the Jan Fraser Inspired Life Series. And would you be interested in writing a chapter for our books? Well, I never really thought about writing a book. That's just, you know, I had written articles for a local magazine, because so I knew I was a writer. I knew that I loved writing. But again, it's a contribution to the magazine. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have that responsibility of writing a whole book or writing a whole magazine. And I loved it because I can work with, you know, other authors. I can get to know other authors. And it was kind of like the meetings that we were having. It was wonderful because my creative juices were flowing, because they were kind of like giving me the wings to fly. You know what I mean? I could run my idea by them, or I could work with them on their ideas, that type of thing. And I learned so much by being involved in a collaborative book. So yes, I do agree that those people like Anthony who can write a whole book, that's amazing. That's amazing. But when you can be involved in a collaborative project, that is just, in my opinion, unbelievable. So I know Anthony is working on a collaborative project, and I got to tell you, that is the way to go. You know, if you haven't written a book on your own first, this is the way to go, because you have somebody like Anthony who's already written a book. So he knows the ins and outs of, you know, what it takes to publish a book, what it takes to market a book, what it takes to get the book put together and get it out there. And, you know, you will learn so much by being involved in Anthony's project. And I learned so much by being involved in Jan's projects. It's just amazing. And the people that you meet, the people that you work with, you become like so close during those few months that you're meeting and you're talking about your book. And, you know, because you're all kind of in the same bubble. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like a family, you know, and you all know which direction you want to take the book. And Anthony can help you in that direction. And that's what's so, so important about being involved in a collaborative book. Now, one step further, when we were writing our books, Jack Canfield is very close with Jan, because they're very close. They're good friends. And Jack Canfield wrote the foreword for all of our books.
Wow.
And that is amazing. So being able to say that Jack Canfield, the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, is the person who writes the foreword on our books, it definitely helps us, you know, expand our audience for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yes.
So we're very lucky as far as that goes. And it led to, I got a phone call because somebody had found out that I was writing in these books. And I got a phone call from Bold Brave TV saying, we want you to host a TV show.
Whoa.
And so, yes, so it's led to so many things, and I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. But that's what a collaborative project does, is it leads from one thing to another. So your opportunities are wide open. And that's why you definitely want to work with somebody like Anthony, on a collaborative project because you don't know where it's going to take you. And it's wonderful. It just kind of goes and goes. And it's been an amazing experience. The people that I've met, the people that I'm involved with. I met Anthony through another networking event. Now I've met Jasmine, so I'm looking forward to working with her.
Amen.
And it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. And thank you very much for those words. They are quite inspiring. And thank you even for talking about be good and achieve your dream. I appreciate that. We ask people to read, because these days people are not reading. So we are encouraging people to read. Now, for your information, Jasmine is also has also authored books. Tell us a little bit about your books, Jasmine.
Yes, absolutely. I actually have a excuse me. I have a 5-book series coming out. The first one is based on a girl incursion. I like to say international day. Maybe I'm looking forward to being international. Okay. But yeah, so my incursion series is just basically about a girl lost and her family, looking for her family for years and can't seem to find them, but just get dragged into this world that she doesn't know anything about. Then secondly, it's I have like 5 co-author features coming out. I know one with you, so I'm excited. I have 3 featuring women on basically sticking together with women and showing their true colors and their light and shining in their light. And the last thing, I have my book 1 of my You Matter trilogy, my journal, the first one that's already out on Amazon. Get a grip, will ya? You matter. Just basically women sticking together and being strong on your mindset. So I love that she spoke about that, being strong with your mindset and helping each other get to the levels that you want to reach to the extreme. So thank you for that.
Wonderful, Jasmine. Now, I have a question for LouAnne right now, and maybe this one can Jasmine can help us answer. This is Anthony, and I'm here with 2 ladies, and the 2 ladies are talking about women. LouAnne has only co-authored with 30 other women. Now, LouAnne, why women?
Well, Jan says that it's not that men don't have a story to tell, because men do as well, but you are kind of one of not many, Anthony. A lot of men don't want to share. Do you agree with that, Jasmine?
Yes, absolutely do.
Yeah, I think that a lot of men are almost shy, intimidated. It's the same thing when I was writing for the magazine. There weren't a lot of male writers. A lot of them were female. And I think it's the guy thing. I don't know.
Yes.
It's not that we don't want to include men, because we're always open
Exactly.
to include men.
Exactly.
But when we start talking to men and we tell them what the book is kind of about, and what they might want to think about as far as their story goes, then a lot of them are not, they're not interested. They're not interested in telling their story. They'll definitely cheer us on.
Yes.
Like my guy is so shy. I said to him, okay, I'm going to write a story about Dad, which is his dad. I said, I'm going to write a story about Dad in the book on gratitude. I'm like, are you okay with it? And he's like, right away, his eyes got this big. He's like, well, I don't have to say anything, do I? I'm like, no. And he's like, I don't have to go up on stage, do I? No. I said, but this is what I want to do. And I read him the story a couple of times to make sure that he was okay with it.
Yeah.
And the story, actually my story in the book on gratitude, starts out, do you believe in serendipity? Because when I met my guy, the story starts off with how I met my guy.
Yeah, tell us about your
Nice.
chapter.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I want to
Tell
hear.
So-
we are interested to hear now.
All right. So the book starts off with, do you believe in serendipity? So what happened was I was a widow and I went to a home show it is a great story. I went to a home show and I was selling some things, like to the people who were coming into the home show. And I was with a friend of mine. And actually I was involved in a greeting card company, greeting cards and gifts.
Mhm.
So I was selling, like my greeting cards and gifts. And right across from me was a booth, and it was 3 men at the booth. And it was they were selling standby generators.
Mm.
Okay, do you know what that is? So like if the hydro goes out, the generator kicks on.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's kind of like an air conditioner, right? So
Mhm.
it automatically kicks on, and then you have hydro. So he was at that booth, but his partner, he was, I guess, the bolder one. He came over to our booth because I was with my friend,
Mhm.
and he starts asking me all these questions. And he says, like, are you married? Do you have kids? Where do you work? Like things like that. And he was, very handsome. But when he walked away, I noticed he had a wedding ring. And I was like, this guy's asking some pretty personal questions, for being married.
Mm.
I kind of raised an eyebrow, like, But I didn't know that he was going back to his partner and telling his partner, which is my
Oh,
guy. He was telling his partner, he's like, you should go talk to her.
Yeah.
You
nice.
should go meet her. She's really nice.
Wow.
He was really shy. So he's like, no. And so his partner kind of like, talked him into coming across the aisle and saying hi. So what happened was, so we're standing there and we're talking and just getting to know each other, normal chit chat. And I didn't know anything about him. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this must be the same thing that his partner was doing. But I was a little cautious. But then what happened was he looked down at my table and he said, are you involved with this company? And I said, yeah. He says, so am I.
Oh, wow.
But here comes the serendipity part.
Mhm.
So what happened was we were both in Michigan at the same convention
Mhm.
because he was involved in the cards as well. And what happened was in one of the breakout sessions, or actually in the main session, we were asked by the CEO of the company, if you could write out a card to anyone, what would you write? So I wrote out a card to my husband who had passed. Then they came over and asked me, well, everybody, says, okay, now we're going to come around and ask you to read your card out loud. So they came over to me. Here's a weird part. So they came over to me. And at first I'm like, I'm not really shy, but at first I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could get through this without, without crying. But anyway, I stood up and I kind of read my card out loud. And it was to my husband who had passed. And sure enough, there isn't a dry eye in the place. Well, the CEO asks me to come up on stage.
Wow.
So I go up on stage and there's like 700 people there. And he says, we're going to give you a standing ovation. I'm like, okay. So everybody gets up and gives me a standing ovation. Well, of course, there isn't a dry eye in the place. So anyway, so I go and I sit back down. Dave, my guy, is in the audience. And he says to his friend who he went with, he says to his friend, you know what? like, I want to meet her because there's got to be more to this story.
Mm.
But of course, because I was on stage, you can imagine everybody surrounded me and wanted to know, wanted to know who I was. And, they wanted to tell me how wonderful the card was and on and on. And he couldn't get anywhere near me.
Mm-hmm.
So he just went home. So here we are 6 months later, almost to the day, we are now face to face. And he realizes that I was the girl that was up on stage.
Wow.
Isn't that a cool story?
That's cool.
So, and I guess the rest is history because, we started seeing each other. And in the book from there, so I talk about how I met him. And then I say, like growing up as a child, I didn't really have a father figure in my life because my parents were divorced. And so I always wanted a dad. You know what I mean? I always
Yeah.
wanted a special dad. Well, then he introduced me to his mom and dad. And so now the story is about his dad and how special he was to me and how he was the dad that I never had. And so the rest of the story is all about dad and how great he was. So, yeah, and it's really heartwarming. And there's a lot of parts to like his dad. But the one thing that I did talk about, and actually it's on my Facebook and a picture, do you see the picture?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, that's his dad looking up at a tree. So this is actually one of the stories that I tell about dad is in 1937, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, who we know as Queen Mum, came to visit a school or came to visit a few schools in Canada. And they brought a gift, which was a little box with 3 acorns. And these acorns were taken right from the oak tree in Windsor Castle. And what they did was they brought them to the schools, and Dad's school was one of the schools that they gifted the acorns to. So the kids at Dad's school, they planted these acorns, and one of them sprouted. So they kept tending to this sprout, and it became stronger and stronger. And all of the kids in the school, now Dad's probably in grade 5 or 6 at the time, they went out front of the schoolhouse and they planted the tree. And to this day, the tree is still there. And it's named a royal oak tree, so that it's a historical tree. There's a big plaque there. Nobody can take it down. And in fact, they put a brand new road in front of the schoolhouse, and the schoolhouse has long been torn down. But they put a road in front of the schoolhouse, and they had to actually bend the road so that it would be around the oak tree.
Nice.
They couldn't move the oak tree at all. So it's the only bend in this road, and it's in front of the oak tree. So that's part of the story that I wrote, and that's why you see the picture of Dad in front of the oak tree, and the fact that it's still standing, and it was 80 plus years ago that they planted this tree. So he was an amazing man, and unfortunately he passed last November. I know, because everybody wants to know the story, right?
Yes.
But just how important he was in my life. He was the dad that I always dreamed of. So that's the type of stories that are in this book.
Wow.
And very, very heartwarming stories. And it's just a really good book, because everything that happens to us, and here comes the mindset stuff, everything that happens to us doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And we need to learn how to deal with those situations and how our mindset will affect those situations. And if you can take any situation at all and just find one small thing that you are grateful for in that situation, one small thing, it will completely change your life. So that's why an attitude of gratitude is the way to live your life.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that's why reading this book and reading these stories of how people are so grateful for whatever it is that they wrote about, it's amazing. It will definitely change the way that you think of things or look at things.
Wow. So needed right now.
It is, isn't it, Jasmine?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm so
Everything that we
inspired.
have been through.
Yes. And I'm so inspired by your story, just from you meeting your guy and from you getting your cleanse, your healing with your story, and then you meet his father, and oh my, it's so inspiring. And that was your healing journey, and I could see it. And that just inspires me to keep going right now. And that's so great. I applaud you. Like, yes, I love it.
Well, you keep going, because I'm sure that your stories will definitely, even if you can inspire just one person, Jasmine,
Yes.
you can make a difference in this world. You can. And the world needs people like us. You too, Anthony, right?
Sure.
I know. Not a lot of men write in these
Yeah.
books.
There's a deeper,
We're counting on you, Anthony.
Yes.
there's a deeper lesson in that story of yours, where your guy's dad planted an acorn that becomes a tree that has lived for 80 years and going. Now,
Yes.
it reminds us that today, this thing that we are doing right now here in this show, talking about gratitude and about the experiences we are having, what we plan to do, there are seeds we are planting. Now, if that seed you're planting is a good seed, and especially a seed of gratitude, appreciating that little thing that you have, if you plant it and take care of it, then 80 years to come, 90 years, 100 years to come, someone is going to look at it and say, oh, that's a seed that was planted by LouAnne. That's a seed that was planted by Jasmine. Please don't touch it. If you have to make a road around it, if you have got to build, you've got to build around it, but not bring it down, because it was a wonderful seed. It was a good seed. It's a loyal seed.
Yep, for sure. And even with the teaching,
Yeah.
with teaching college, a lot of them will say, why did you start doing that? Not so that I wouldn't get bored when I retired.
Mhm.
But my whole purpose for teaching, and you have to have a purpose in life. If I can change one person, just one, if I can affect just one student, if I can help them to see things differently, then I have accomplished what my life purpose is.
Yes.
Just one person.
Wonderful. That's sure. That's true. And I believe, I hope, I guess that Jasmine has a few questions on anything, on gratitude and writing.
Yes, absolutely. I was waiting for the right time, but yeah. So I'm so intrigued by your professionalhood. So with the coaching, you do. I'm sorry. You're a professor. Sorry, you're a professor. So what led you into being a professor? As far as I know, that you want to help change. If you could change one person, and I absolutely feel that we're on the same playing field. Like, all the way. Like, I'm just so intrigued by your entire story, and I love it. Like, I've never been so inspired in my life, and I absolutely need this right now. So what led you into that?
Well, to be honest with you, I decided I needed to find out more about marketing, and I needed to learn how to market myself and about business, because I was running a home-based business. So I actually signed up at the college to take courses for myself.
That's nice.
And so I started taking courses because, in my opinion, you can't really teach something if you don't really know. right? So I started taking courses, and I don't know if I was just the right place at the right time. That's serendipity again. But the teachers that I had, they were looking for more teachers to teach adult students.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so invested in my own education that I said, I'll do this. Like, I'm interested. And so I applied and I got the job.
Nice. Yes.
I'm telling you, this stuff, just when you really believe in it, you can
Yes.
turn your whole life around.
Yes. So I want to ask, so you speak a lot about mindset, and I absolutely love that, because that is the number one thing that we all need for anything that we ever do. And what was your mindset when you were going after completing these goals? Like, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? How did you conquer these, the trouble you mentioned earlier, how life gets in the way? How did you overcome these obstacles to get where you're at?
Well, I wasn't in love with my government job.
Number one, yes, absolutely. Understand.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for it now
Mhm.
that I'm retired, but I wasn't in love with my government job. And so I learned, I don't know if I'm just an overachiever or what, but I learned that there was more to life
Mhm.
than working at a 9 to 5 job. And that was, well, actually, when I first started, I was in 911.
Oh.
And so you can imagine, with the shift work and everything, I had to do something to keep myself sane. And so I think I started working on, like myself, and I didn't know what mindset meant. I didn't know
Mhm.
any of those things. I was just I had a lot of problems with like anxiety, and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with, the job. I'm sure of it.
Yes.
And so I had to learn how to cope, right? And I had to learn, and that's one thing I will say about my parents is, they were separated when I was really young and they were divorced. And I had to learn like really quickly how to take care of myself.
Mhm.
I'm talking emotionally, and,
Mhm.
like mom always had supper on the table, that type of thing. But I had to learn how to be independent and how to take care of myself because I didn't have anybody that was there. So, actually, I'm grateful. There it is again. I'm
Yes.
grateful because
Right.
maybe I wouldn't have turned out to be this type of person who's an A-type personality who, is always go, go, go. So I think just with, learning for myself, getting into yoga, getting into meditation, getting into, and then, like you said, life happens. My husband passed away from ALS. So that was a huge learning curve. And after he passed away, believe it or not, one of my students said to me, it was, I think it was about a year after he had passed. One of my students said, "Have you ever seen the movie The Secret?"
Mm.
And I was like, "No." And so she brought a copy of it into me. And she said, "I want you to watch this." And so I watched it, and it just led me down a whole other rabbit hole. But it was a good rabbit hole because look where I am now. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
So I think you have to just believe in yourself, and it's not easy.
Mm.
Jasmine,
Mm.
it's
Oh,
not
absolutely.
easy if, life deals you lemons. You got to learn how to make lemonade. We know
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And personal development, just because I am where I am now, because I wrote in a book on gratitude, and the next book is the book on abundance. And, it doesn't mean that my personal journey is going to end,
Yeah.
right? We have to
Mhm.
constantly work on it. And
Mm,
maybe next time it'll be a different area of my life that I have to work on. I don't know,
yeah,
but yeah, it's
mm,
a never ending journey.
sure. The journey continues. Thank you very much, LouAnne, for everything that you shared with us today. For those of you who joined us in the middle, we were here discussing about the book on gratitude. And LouAnne has co-authored with other 30 women, and we've been having a co-host here, Jasmine. And we appreciate you watching. We appreciate all your feedback that you are going to send us. Please share this video with as many people as possible. And don't forget to go to www.louannehand.ca and connect with LouAnne, and also get to buy the book. The link is in the description of the video. Go click on it, go to the website, and also go and buy the book that is talking about gratitude. It's good to have a mindset of gratitude.
Yes.
Mhm.
It is.
So I think before we go, maybe you'll leave us with a few words, LouAnne, that we should that you think we should know before we leave.
Yes.
My golden nuggets. Golden nugget number 1. Just know that you are worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Don't ever give up on your journey. And number 3, just like I said, believe it's possible. Believe it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And surround yourself with great people like Anthony and Jasmine. It's so important. And hold those friendships tight because they're here to teach you something. I came on this podcast today to teach you something. I don't know what it is, but I hope that the messages came through.
Most definitely did. Sorry, I had to add. It was so nice meeting you.
Yeah, it was so nice meeting you, and I hope you will keep in touch.
Absolutely will.
Okay, nice meeting you. Thank you very much, LouAnne. So that's about the end of this show. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the viewers and listeners. Again, go and buy the book on gratitude. Yes, do so. Bye for now.